Welcome into the Ravens Rundown from Chat Sports. I'm Matthew Peterson. It's a tough one. It's a tough one in Baltimore because, truthfully, I couldn't envision a John Harbaugh team losing 5 in a row with the 5th loss coming at home. It just didn't seem like that was going to happen. I figured some way they'll find a way to beat a better Rams team. On paper, they're better, but this Rams team can be a little bit fluky and inconsistent this year. And I call them a soft team. And Baltimore is the opposite of that. They are a physical and tough team. You're going to go from nice Southern California to, blue-collar, cold Baltimore. No way they're going to pick out a win there. But the Rams found a way to come back. So let's dive into this recap here. We'll start with a couple numbers coming at you guys. 2019, if you have been living under a rock, the final. Rams pull off a comeback. And this Ravens team got off to a good start, right? You had the Chuck Clark pick six. So right off the bat, you're playing with house money because everyone thought the Rams were going to win this game. No Lamar once again. Tyler Huntley show, can he continue the magic? Can he keep this run going longer than anyone's giving him much credit for? Expecting him to do, I should say. It sure looked like it. You went into the half leading by a touchdown. And when these kind of games come about where the underdog is the home team and they're playing with a little more West Coast and fast but less physical team at home like the Rams, in my mind it's whoever's going to score first in the second half is going to win this game. And Tucker went out there and made a field goal. So now this Rams team is trailing by 2 scores, and you figured the Ravens can just do what the Ravens do very well. They can run the football, they can play defense, and they can force the Rams to make uncharacteristic mistakes. And also, you're catching Matthew Stafford on a bad day. You're asking a bad Matthew Stafford to lead a 2-score comeback on the road. I didn't see it happening. But unfortunately, the football gods had other ideas for Ravens fans. So let me ask this question to you. What's your one-word reaction to this loss? You can go a variety of different ways, routes, avenues. I want to know what you're thinking. This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So if a YouTube ad break comes on by, just drop on down to the comment section. Let me know what your one word is, or even write a paragraph for all I care on what your thoughts are from today's loss. You look at the offensive numbers for Baltimore, and it's exactly what you'd expect from them. A lot of rushing yards and so-so in the passing department, but you kind of overlook that because you have 162 yards on the ground. And those are numbers that if I told you before the game Baltimore had 327 yards, you would think they'd win the game. And that'd be a fair assumption. 2 turnovers, I wouldn't say costly, but you turn the ball over twice, you're not giving yourself much room for error with a backup quarterback, okay? You got to play clean football because Tyler Huntley was phenomenal last week. He was all anyone could talk about. Everyone wanted to get their hands on this guy, and he's kind of come down to earth a little bit after this week. It's hard as a backup quarterback to really go out and play, big dick Nick football for a long period of time. But for Huntley, he did okay. He didn't lose the game, but he certainly didn't win the game. And he was not able to do that last week against Green Bay. It all came down to a 2-point conversion, but he puts you in a way better position than you thought he would be. He did win you the Bears game, so you get 1 win there. But other players, other key notes we'll kind of run through. Mark Andrews. Here's Mark Andrews. What do you expect from a guy? Okay, he is just continuing to be the safety blanket, the security guy that when everything else hits the fan, you go to your best friend, Mark. He's your best friend. That's who he is right now. Not man's best friend's a dog. Ravens quarterback's best friends. Used to be Dennis Pitta. Now it's Mark Andrews. Make sure you are subscribed to the Ravens Rundown on YouTube, by the way. We've got news and rumors content coming out all year long, so make sure you hit that big red button, subscribe, because here's the deal. The more subscriptions we get, that means the more studio time. And I can think of a couple AFC North channels in the chat sports world that have more subscribers. So don't do it for me. Do it for Ravens fans and the fact that you can't stand the Pittsburgh Steelers. Rashad Bateman, this is a name I've wanted to see in the show for a couple of weeks, and he finally gets a chance because he finally has, I wouldn't say his first great performance, he's been trending in that direction, but 7 receptions for 58 yards. I like that more than, say, 3 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown because now you're starting to see some consistency from Bateman. And this is a position that the Ravens haven't had any success at since Anquan Bolden. It's been a long time since Baltimore's had a real go-to number one wide receiver. And when you draft someone in the first round, those are the expectations. Not for them to be a slot guy or a nice complimentary wide receiver to, someone else, be the Robin for Batman. No, Bateman's supposed to be Batman. That's what Bateman stands for, Batman. So hopefully he can get in that direction because that's what Ravens fans are looking to get out of him. We'll check out the Rams offense now, see how the Ravens defense fared against them. The Rams were the Rams. They passed the ball a lot. And when you throw the ball a lot, you're going to get a lot of yards. And it came at a price. It came at some sloppy play. Chuck Clark made a great pick six. He had a couple great plays. His defense was swarming around Stafford. And they have made Matthew Stafford look a little bit uneasy. If I'm a Rams fan, that's not a quarterback I have much confidence in going into the playoffs. That's the quarterback that you've seen in Detroit when things got really ugly. That's the guy you saw. So if you're the Ravens, at least you can hold your keep your head held high because you made Matthew Stafford look like Detroit Matthew Stafford and not like, Southern Cali Matthew Stafford. We'll get to more stuff in just a moment, but we got some awesome friends over at BetUS. Our sportsbook partner hooks you up with a 125% deposit bonus. Now, I get it. This football season's wrapping up, but that doesn't mean you can't put some cheddar down, and you can get some cheddar put on top of your moolah. When you go to chatsports.com/bet, you get a 125% deposit bonus for putting in the promo code CHAT125. That's the way we let BetUS know that you came from us, and they want to reward you for that. So you got to make sure you use that link along with the promo code CHAT125 to get the deposit bonus. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Chuck Clark, CC, this guy, not CC's Pizza, okay? He was flying all over the field, and he was making play after play, had a nice interception that led to a pick six that got the game on the right foot for Baltimore fans. And you had a good sense that this Baltimore team, because like I said at the beginning of this video, it was really tough to imagine a John Harbaugh team losing 5 in a row with the 5th loss coming at home against, sure, a very good Rams team, but a Rams team that's been up and down all year, or at least the second half of the season, and a categorically soft team, okay? If they were a hurricane, they'd be called a Hurricane 5 out in the sea, and once they made landfall, you'd be like, oh, it's just kind of dusting. There's a little rain, a little breeze going on. Because this Rams team is just not made for tough football in the trenches, and the Ravens are. They are built for that. They are geared for that, okay? So shout out to this Rams team shout out to this Ravens team for at least knocking the Rams down a pedestal and bringing them down to earth a little bit. But Odell Beckham Jr. had to be the spoiler at the end of the game. This is going to be a tough question for you guys to answer, but go back to school for me and grade the Ravens' performance. You could go all the above, honestly. I wouldn't argue for an A because you lost, but I could argue a B+ because you lost by 1 with your backup quarterback who didn't even throw a touchdown and was held to under 200 yards. But at the same time, you're up by 2 scores in the second half. And you let a Rams team on a bad day come from behind on the road against all the conditions that they are not built to be successful against. Hard-nosed, physical football, cold weather, on the road. Matthew Stafford playing poor football. Ravens having success running the football. I mean, Devonta Freeman, for example, this guy was picked up off Devonta Freeman was picked up off the street, and he's busting all over the place for huge chunks of yards game after game. And he's not really what you wanted, of course, in terms of your RB1. You go back to the beginning of the season, but still, Devonta Freeman for what he was doing before the season start, which was probably having a body more like myself than what he's got right now, yeah, he played pretty well. We'll look at the playoff picture now. It's not good. Let's start there. 8-8. You're behind Miami. You don't have the tiebreaker over them, but it really won't matter. So you got to win next week against Pittsburgh. And I have a bad feeling if you're a Ravens fan, Mike Tomlin and Big Ben want to go out on a high note as their duo will come to an end. Something tells me they would love nothing more than winning their final game together. And that would be the most Steelers thing possible, I think. But if you want to sneak into the playoffs, you're not getting what you need right now, which is the Chargers to lose to the Broncos. They're up by 14 as we record this right now. You need a ton of help by way of the Raiders and Colts. It's a long hill up road, including a Colts loss, at least a tiebreaker over them, I'm not going to bore you. I shouldn't say bore you, but make it sound sad how much of a long shot this is. Because you look at the AFC North standings, Baltimore at 8-8. Here's my spin zone for you. Miss the playoffs. Bear with me. Hold on. Put your tomatoes down. Get healthy. Go into next season with an easy schedule. Because this is a Ravens team that easily could have won the division. But let's say they lose. Let's say they get third. I doubt they fall to fourth. But let's say they finish in the bottom half of the division. They're going to go into next year healthy and with an easy schedule. What that means is that they play the third place team from the AFC West, the AFC South, the AFC East. That's a pretty nice path right there if you're Baltimore and you're healthy, and you just got to assume next year we will not get absolutely destroyed with COVID and with one injury after another before we even play 1 week of football, and then in the middle of the season you lose your top three corners. That's not a bad plan of attack. I know it sucks. You want to make the playoffs, but let's be frank. Let's say Baltimore does sneak in. I don't think they're winning. They're not making much noise in the playoffs. And the goal shouldn't be to miss the playoffs to get an easy schedule next year. That's Jags talk. But I don't think it's the worst plan. I don't think it's the worst happy accident. But I want to throw this question your way. Do you think the Ravens will make the playoffs still? We are a democracy here at Chat Sports. I will ask the question. I want to know what you're thinking. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. I don't see it happening. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, though, to go into next year thinking we were building a lot of positive things. When we get healthy and we have an easy schedule, look out, because this is a tough team to bring down. Hopefully the Ravens can knock off the Steelers next week. Ravens fans are rooting for that. We'll see you later here on the Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports.